The Yaqui Wars were a series of armed conflicts between New Spain and the later Mexican Republic against the Yaqui Native Americans, who inhabit the valley of the Rio Yaqui in the state of Sonora. The period began in 1533 and lasted until 1929, being the longest conflict of Mexico history and one of the most unknown.
During Mexican War of Independence, Yankee didn't participate until 1825 when Occident passed a law making Yankees pay taxes. That day Yankee decided to go to the war. The first fighting was on Rajum. The movement was encouraged by Pedro Leiva, a Catholic priest. The Yankee coalesced around Juan Valderas as their leader. Valderas managed to get to the Opatas and Pimas to join in the war against the Mexican government.
The Yaqui were the target of Mexican army for a long time, being victims of some of the worst atrocities in the history, even women and children. One of the worst massacres related to this conflict happened in 1868 when militaries enclosed between 450 and 550 Indians in the church of Bacum, then put artillery in front of the door and unloaded on prisoners, on the pretext that the Indians had tried to escape. The building set on fire like a torch and very few escaped.
During the 34-year rule of Mexican dictator Porfirio Diaz, the government repeatedly provoked the Yankee remaining in Sonora to rebellion in order to seize their land for exploitation by investing for both mining and agricultural use. Many Yaqui were sold at 60 pesos a head to the owners of sugar cane in Oaxaca and the tobacco planters of the Valle Nacional, while thousands more were sold to the Heneke exploitation owners of the Yucatan. In 1908, at least 5,000 Yaqui had been sold into forced slavery. At the Valle Nacional, the enslaved Yankees were worked until they died. At Guaymas, thousand more Yaquis were put on boats and shipped to San Blas, where they were forced to walk over 200 miles to San Marcos and its train station. Many women and children could not withstand the 3-week journey over the mountains, and their bodies were left by the side of the road. The Mexican government established large concentration camps at San Marcos, where the remaining Yaqui families were broken up and segregated. Individuals were then sold into slavery inside the station and packed into a train cars which took them to Veracruz, where they were embarked yet again for the pursuit of Progreso in Yucatan.
From 1926 to 1929, it occurred the last revolt of the Yaqui Wars, which was appeased mainly by the use of aircraft of the Mexican Air Force. In 1939, Mexican President Cárdenas changed the attitude about the Yaquis. He granted the Yaqui tribe official recognition and title to their land. In the official government report of the sexenio of Cárdenas, the section of the Department of Indigenous Affairs indicated that there were 7,000 Yaquis over the age of 5 and they received 500,000 hectares of land. Also, they received advanced agricultural equipment including tractors, threshers, disc plows, harvesters, trucks, and water pumps, as well as mules, shovels, and picks. Nowadays, Yaqui population reaches about 32,000 inhabitants, in contrast with the 3,000 remaining in Sonora after the wars fought for survival for more than 50 years. Some of them migrate to Arizona to run away from Mexican government repression. The Yaqui population in Arizona is 800 inhabitants and the tribe is recognized by the US government. About education, Yaquis have bilingual primary schools, secondary and technical high schools. Also, there are many Yaqui origin students at the University of Sonora doing undergraduate studies in linguistic, laws, and other areas. Lutisuk Cultural Association is working with Yaqui groups in Hermosillo, supporting them to preserve their culture. For this purpose, workshops of music and traditional clothing are organized, as well as artisanal workshops and Yaqui language courses.